How are you doing? This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave. Let me know what part of the country you're coming out of. Let me know whether or not you can hear me. And what we're going to talk about today is what to do when your business is failing in 2023. And this is going to be an extension of a video we did earlier here. And I wanted to make sure that I did a part two for this. And then what we're going to do is, I want to say maybe 24 hours after we film this or we broadcast it, we're going to go ahead and put this in the Patreon for people that have paid. But we're going to kind of show you and give an example of what kind of content's in the Patreon. It's primarily business and lifestyle based content. And the reason why I can talk about this is because I've had a lot of trials and tribulations in business. And one of my goals is to try to make sure that you don't go through the same stuff, because there's no reason that you have to. And many times we fail in business just because of things that we may not know and we may not be exposed to because we don't necessarily have the experience in the space, right? So what we talked about is what to do when your business is failing. And we want to try to give you an idea of how to turn your business around. So one of the biggest challenges that a lot of people have in business is that they go into business, it fails, and they don't understand why it failed. So if they go back into business again and it fails again, and then they go back into business again and it fails again, and then they just get discouraged, they run out of capital, they run out of money, everybody turns against them, and they just end up by themselves. And I don't want that for you, right? So what I want to really try to help you do is get a better understanding of what mistakes not to make in business. And if you don't make the mistakes, then you can avoid a lot of the downfalls and downturns that a lot of people are going to experience, because many of us often go into business for the wrong reason. And so we kind of talked about in the first video, what is some of the preliminary work that you need to do before you go into business? What's the reason why you're going into business? And so now we're going to kind of expand from that, right? So let me go ahead and blow this up. So let's go straight into part two, right? And we're going to get up on out of here. So we said, stay tuned for part two. So one of the things that you want to really understand in business is you got to make the main thing the main thing. And I think this is where most people struggle in business. I've seen it happen a million times. It happened to me before, so I really learned to avoid this kind of behavior. You're in business, and when you start in business, so let me give an example. When you have a child between 0 years and let's say 7 years, really, and most people don't really understand this, the tone of that child is being set. Between 0 and 7 years, you're kind of setting the trajectory of that particular child. And so what you often would want to do, from my opinion, is invest a lot into making sure that that child is set up for success really early on. And then what it does is it benefits from that initial groundwork that's been laid. Many people, when they go into business, because they don't really understand what they need to be doing, they're often doing the wrong thing, right? And so what they want to focus on is making the main thing, right? When you initially go into business, there's really one thing that you need to be worried about, and you don't need to be worried about anything else, right? And I don't mean that you want to ignore it. I mean, like maybe 80% of your activity needs to be based around this one thing, right? And it's really what hurts most businesses. So two things hurt businesses, right? And that's when they initially start. First is going to be lack of sales, right? Let me make sure people can see that. Next thing is going to be lack of record keeping, right? And so it's the number one thing, is the reason why most businesses are not successful. Most businesses fail initially because they're not driving enough sales in, right? Second thing is lack of record keeping. But there is no record keeping if you're not bringing in sales, okay? This is where most people lose in business. They don't lose because they aren't smart enough. They don't lose because they are Black. They don't lose because of, they're in the wrong deal. They really lose because of lack of sales. There's not enough sales activity in that business is driving enough revenue in that business. That's why they lose. And often that is the biggest impediment for a lot of startup businesses, is because people go into business for the wrong reason. And they don't understand how much sales activity they need to be involved in. And often we don't understand that, because for our business, we're not responsible for sales or marketing. Many of us work in firms, and the sales and marketing piece of the business is not our responsibility. So because it's not our responsibility, we don't understand the importance of sales and marketing. And then therefore we go into business for ourselves without understanding the importance of sales and marketing to being essentially the foundation of that business. And then we just think that business is all these other things, and we don't understand the importance of making sure that we're generating sales. That's why I tell you, if you have a problem with somebody selling you, you should never go into business, because what is going to make your business work, you don't like. So all the people that jump on the internet saying, well, I'm tired of these people always trying to sell courses, you don't ever need to go into business, right? You don't ever need to go into business, because the problem is what's going to make your business become successful is what you say you don't like. And if you have a psychological opposition to what's going to make your business become successful, you're never going to become successful. You're not going to be able to put your sales activity off on a machine. This is the mistakes people make, right? So let me give an example. Person XYZ starts a business, right? They don't like selling. They're not comfortable selling. They're not comfortable getting rejected. They're not comfortable hearing no, right? And this impacts women more than it impacts men, which is why in most environments, men are the actual biggest sales guys, because we've conditioned women to never want to hear no, right? They're scared to hear somebody tell them no. So because they don't want to hear no, they just don't ask, right? They hide behind their femininity. They hide behind their biological sex. So this person starts a business and they have issues with all these things, right? So they're attracted to businesses that they think will allow them to get around doing this. People telling you we got a system that does all the selling for you. People telling you we got a new way of you doing this and you don't have to speak to people. People telling you we got a way of doing business where, it doesn't involve rejection, yada, yada, yada. Those are all false. When you're starting a business, you need to determine really early on whether or not that business is going to work. And that means that you have to focus on sales. Because what you're trying to do is validate whether or not that business is legitimate. And this is where a lot of people make a mistake, right? Because even if you're going into a turnkey business, let's say you buy a franchise, you buy Subway, you buy McDonald's, you buy any of these franchise businesses that already have a proven business model, you still got to drive sales. So you got to figure out, what do I need to do to get people in this door to spend money with me to make sure that this business is viable? So it doesn't matter if every McDonald's in your city has been successful and now you buy one and you think just because I bought a McDonald's is going to be successful, you're still responsible for driving sales. They're going to give you promotions. They're going to run national ads. But if none of that works, it's your responsibility to get people in that door and spending money with you. And so you got to realize that this is the number one thing that hurts businesses. So when you're starting a business, the number one thing you need to focus on is sales. You need to worry about nothing else. And I mean, like on an 80-20 level, 20% can be everything else. But when you initially start, 80% of your energy needs to be on driving money through that business, because you need to try to determine whether or not that business is viable, right? And so this is where a lot of people make their mistake. They don't focus on sales when they start, and they try to avoid sales when they start. So I want to be in the business, and I'm drawn to somebody telling me, we got a business over here and you don't have to sell. Yes, you do. You got to sell. You got to market too, but you got to be able to drive sales. You got to be able to close sales, and you got to be able to deal with people telling you no, and you can't care. I'm so passionate about what I do. I know that there's a large amount of the population that is not a good candidate for what I do. So they're going to tell me no. My job is to find people that are good candidates for what I got. That's how passionate about what I am. So what a lot of people do is they get into businesses and they're really not passionate about what they're doing. They just want to make money. Unless you're a professional salesperson. So let me give an example of a professional salesperson. Y'all know the woman that told people that they were having a low vibrational plate? She's a professional saleswoman. She can sell something that she's not passionate about because she's a professional. She's a pro. That woman's been selling for over 2 decades. She's a pro. She can sell something that she's not passionate about. The average person cannot sell something they're not passionate about. Therefore, when they join these deals or they start these businesses and they're really not passionate about it, it can be difficult for them to try to sell it because they're not passionate about it. I don't care if you tell me no. I'm so passionate about what I'm doing. I've proven it with myself. I've proven it with other people. I've seen the development in other people, which is more important than the development in myself. To where I know if you tell me no, that means you're just not a good candidate for it. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with what I'm doing. So I don't care what anybody says. I'm very obstinate about what I got going on business-wise because I've seen the real life results, right? And nobody else was doing what I was doing before I started doing it. People were selling courses, but they weren't training people the way we're training people. to where I just had a brother on and we're having a very in-depth discussion about the markets and crypto, yada, yada, yada. We're not doing no yelling and screaming. We're not disrespecting each other. We're not talking down on black women. We're not talking down on black men. That is an anomaly in this particular YouTube space. So I don't care what nobody says to me, right? I'm convinced that I'm doing the right thing and I'm convinced that I'm on my purpose, right? If you don't have that kind of passion about what you're doing, it can hurt you, because when you find people that are not good candidates for what you're doing and they keep telling you no, it's going to hurt your belief in what you're doing. When you start a business, the first thing you want to do is validate your offer, right? So the first thing you want to do is validate your offer. What do I mean by that? You want to go out in the market and you want to determine whether or not what you're selling is legitimate. So let me give an example of what I did. I started off with my offer. I sold it on Facebook. It worked. I brought it to YouTube and I brought it to Instagram. It worked there, right? Now what we're doing is we're building out automation in what we're doing because we validated the offer. The offer is not how to learn how to trade options. The offer is how to get the life that you want by understanding how to leverage the financial markets. That's the real offer. The offer is autonomy. The offer is a sense of freedom. The offer is a sense of feeling strong and empowered. That's the offer. The offer is not how to learn how to trade options, because everybody has that offer. You can get that offer free on YouTube. That's why what I do, you can't get for free, because nobody else understands how to do what I do with the same information. That's what people don't understand. So I had to validate the offer, right? So I validated the offer on Facebook, drove sales there. Validate the offer on YouTube and Instagram, drove sales there. Now it's to build out an automated way through websites, maybe even build out a blog through YouTube ads. And that's going to take time to get right. I just had to fire my media buyer because I didn't like what he was doing. What I want you to understand is that there's a process to this. Unless you're a very seasoned business person, I would not recommend in my experience that you go from I have an offer to I just go to paid media. So many people think my offer is not working because I'm not running paid ads. My question is, have you ever validated the offer? Because if the offer hasn't been validated, it doesn't matter whether or not you do paid media. If the offer doesn't work, you doing the offer on YouTube with paid media or you doing on Facebook with paid media won't make the offer work. And so this is what I want people to understand. I'm talking about offer. I'm not talking about product. So let me give an example. So if you can see this, right? Let me blow myself up real quick so I can make sure you can see it. Here we go. If you can see this, this is vitamin D. It's a vitamin D vitamin, right? This is a product. This is not an offer. So many people confuse products with offers, right? You want to be in the offer creation business, right? You want to create offers. What are you offering somebody? Not what products do you have. Products are really not that valuable, right? Because I just showed you the vitamin D vitamins, right? You can buy them on Amazon. You can buy them at any grocery store. You can buy them pretty much anywhere. Why? Because it's just a product, right? Products are really not that valuable. That's why I can buy that for $4.99 at the grocery store, right? You can make them somewhere in a factory, make 1 million of them, put them in a bottle, and they're really being sold as a commodity. There's really no real premium value to vitamin D vitamins because they're in a surplus right now. Now, if we have an issue where we can't get them, then the price will go up, like we did during the pandemic where vitamin C went up. You couldn't get D3. So that's what you got to understand. Many people are worrying about a product or they're worrying about a service as opposed to an offer. What offer are you giving people? And then you go out and you validate that, right? And then you may validate it organically. Then once it works organically, then you could go to paid media. But if you do it through paid media and you haven't validated organically, you can go through a lot of money to try to figure out it doesn't work, right? And so what I want a lot of people to understand is that one of the reasons why you're going to struggle with your business is because you're not trying to validate your offer. You're trying to protect your business idea. Your business idea is not relevant, right? Nobody cares about your business idea except you. So unless you got enough money to pay yourself the way you don't have to worry about working, right? When you just can transfer money from your personal account into your business account and then transfer money back from your business account to your personal account, right? And say you paid yourself, it doesn't matter about your business idea. So the problem is a lot of people get stuck on the wrong thing. Most people get a business idea, and the reason why they don't want to validate it is because they don't want to find out that they're wrong. They don't want to because it'll hurt their ego. I found out that trying to offer BOBs, Facebook ads, trying to teach them how to really become a competitive business using Facebook ads was a bad offer. So I got rid of the offer. It wasn't a good offer, right? Doesn't mean Facebook ads aren't valid. Doesn't mean paid media is not valid. It means that offer wasn't any good. I had to get rid of it and do something else, right? Many of us are scared to realize that, you know what, my offer is just not really, the market doesn't respond to it. Maybe I need to reconfigure it. Maybe I need to change the position. Some people we see have a different offer every 6 months, right? They do that. There's a bunch of guys on YouTube. They're big now. They used to do training. They used to do fitness training. Then they started eating fast food on YouTube. Now they're conservative commentators. They keep changing their offer, right? Because they understand it's all about our offer, not a product or not a service. It's about our offer. So they continue to change their offer. Every 2 years on YouTube, they're doing something different, but they're successful at everything they do on YouTube. That's what really successful businesses do, right? So what I want to encourage you to do is, if you think that you have an offer, figure out, how do I validate it in the market that I think would be receptive to the offer. You might find out it's a good offer, the wrong market. I'm thinking about creating an offer around teaching people how to trade options long term. I think I'm going to have to find a whole new market for that, because it's going to take more money for that. And the return is going to be a lot longer. So as opposed to trying to get a monthly return or a quarterly return, we might be talking about a yearly return. So who's going to be the market for that? People that don't need quick money, right? People that don't need quick money, people that have money, but don't need quick money, right? So you got to realize is that I'm thinking about creating an offer, right, to a whole new market, because the market that I may currently be serving, they may not be a good market for that particular offer. But I know there's a market out there for that offer, because I've taught people and I've seen that they got $250,000 in the Fidelity account. They got $500,000 in the Fidelity account. So I know that there's money in this market. I just have to find the right market for that particular offer. Next thing, you want to get sales data. Sales data teaches you, what is the data coming back from my sales? Reason why you want to get that is because based on your profit and loss, you want to determine, is it even worth me being in business, right? Let's say I'm doing a business to where I'm breaking my neck to do the business. I'm working 60 hours a week and my margins are like 15%, but my volume of sales is not millions of dollars a year. So let's say I'm making $250,000 a year. I'm working 60 hours a year to make it, and I got a 20% profit margin. Is it worth you being in that particular business? So this is why you want to get sales data, because you want to not turn that into your profit or loss and determine whether or not it's even worth you being in business. But the number one thing you got to do, the most important thing, is you got to validate that offer. And if the market doesn't want your offer, you can't take it personal, right? I did, and it's a waste of time, right? It's a waste of time. Just because you may want to do it, it doesn't mean that the market wants it. And the market wants different things at different points, right? And you got to just accept that and move on, okay? Next thing is you want to start looking at your sales process. How am I selling? We talked about before. Am I selling based on doing a lot of organic marketing? Am I selling based on the fact that I got a lot of automation? Am I selling the fact that I'm doing a bunch of live events, right? How am I selling? What is my sales process? Because a lot of times your sales process is going to often determine how your sales come in. Some people got a long sales process. Some people got a short. Some people got a medium term. These are the things that you want to look at. But the number one thing you want to do is validate your offer. It's not about your product. It's not about your service. It's not about your idea. Nobody cares about your idea except you. It's about your offer. And once you get into the understanding of that's all business really is, it's an offer. That's all it is. College is an offer. The health club is an offer. Fitness is an offer. So let me give a real quick story about offer validation. If you look at diet, right? Why do you think people can still sell diets in 2023? There's nothing new about them. Diets are old. They've been doing diets before we was born. Because all they do is change the way that they get you to buy into the offer. So what is the diet offer? Lose weight, look great, get more confidence, feel better about yourself. That's really the diet offer. So you lose weight, you look great, you get more confidence, you feel good about yourself. That's really the offer, right? Now, there's a million ways to get to that result. So in diet, all they do is create a new way for you to get that result, but it's the same offer. So if you go into the diet space, it's no new offer. It's the same offer over and over and over again. It's just a new way to get you to that offer. So what you find is when you really get deep into marketing is that there's only like 5 or 6 offers in the whole world. And it's just multiple ways to get to that offer, right? There's a million ways to get to these 5 or 6 results. So there's only really 5 or 6 real offers, but there's a million ways to get to it. Most people are not even promoting one of like the 5 offers. They're promoting something that really doesn't really amount to anything based on what the market really wants, right? So you got to really understand that it's all about offer validation. That's why I wanted to really hammer that point in really hard, right? So don't allow yourself to get distracted by things that'll never drive revenue, right? So we're going to talk about that. When you're in business, and I'm going to go a little bit deeper than this with like another video. You're going to have people in your business or people that you may do business with, maybe contractors. Those things don't drive revenue. They don't drive revenue. When you're starting off in business early on, it's like I said, it's like having a child. You want to really be focused on what's going to bring money into the business. Because if early on you can't bring money into that business, the business is going to stall out, right? So don't allow yourself as a CEO or the founder of the business to be distracted by things that never drive revenue. And this is what a lot of people get distracted with. How does the website drive revenue? Does it drive revenue? Really does it? Now, if you're doing e-com, yes, maybe. But if you're not doing an e-com play where you're driving traffic just to that site just for the reason of somebody making a sales decision on the site at that time, does the website really drive revenue? I'm not saying you should have a bad website, but does the website drive revenue? So how long should you focus on that? Do business cards drive revenue? Do they really drive revenue? So why are you focused on business cards? Does the glamour shots drive revenue? Right? Do they really drive revenue? You go in and you taking glamour shots, especially for like women. Do they drive revenue? If they do, take the glamour shots. If they don't, why are you doing it? Because is it more about you or more about your market? Now, we talked about the woman that's a professional salesperson, right? She's real big in the MLM space. Her taking pictures with all the Louis stuff and the designer bags, that drives sales to her market because her market is aspirational. They want to be that kind of woman. Many of them come from poverty. They come from low income, and they think that having the designer bags and having the jewelry, that's their definition of success. So when they see her with that, they think she's reached success, so she can help me get it. That's really her offer, right? That's really her offer. Her offer is not those things she's selling. That's irrelevant because she's been selling different things for the past 20 years. So we know it can't be the things. But when she takes the pictures and she's in designer clothes and she got the designer bags and she's in front of a luxury car, her market thinks that's important, right? So if your market doesn't think that's important, why would you get involved in that, right? Because certain markets don't care about that. That's just, it's whatever. Or some markets already have that, so that's not going to move them if they already have it, right? So many times you are not responding to your market, right? And so you got to really understand that you want to focus on things that are going to drive revenue. Now, if your market's going to be responsive to it, then do it. If they're not, I wouldn't do it, right? I'm going to go get some business cards. They're probably going to be just blank business cards. Why? Because it don't matter what my business cards look like, right? It doesn't matter what my business cards look like. They can just be, I don't need to spend a lot of money getting business cards designed. And that's a vanity project. Just get basic business cards, right? Get them printed out. I can get my business cards out. If I go somewhere, I meet somebody, keep it pushing, right? Does the website need to be improved? Yes, it does. But the most important thing initially was validating the offer in the market, not worrying about the website. Now we can go into improvements on the website, right? Another thing, you're going to have people, and I'm going to do a Patreon on this, that you're going to deal with in your business. You cannot allow them to distract you from what's not going to drive revenue, from what is going to drive revenue. And this is what a lot of business owners deal with. So let me give an example. Let's say I'm just a private citizen, right? And I got a guy that's going to do my lawn. And then I got another guy that's going to remodel my kitchen, right? The guy that's going to do my lawn should be hands off. All you got to do is show up, cut the grass, edge it, do the shrubbery, rake it up, and leave. I shouldn't have to deal with you. The guy that's going to do my kitchen, because that's a higher value deal and there's a lot more involved in it, I need to come by the spot every afternoon and make sure that those contractors are on point. So that's going to involve me. Many times in business, you're being dragged down by the landscaper in your business, right? And you haven't figured out yet that I don't need to talk to the landscaper. If the landscaper can't come in, do their job, do their landscaping, and leave without involving me, I need to get rid of them and get somebody that can do that. Because what they're doing is not on such a high level that it should involve any of my participation. But if you think this is doing business, is these things, you'll get bogged down. And instead of you talking to the landscaper, you need to be trying to figure out how you're going to bring more sales into your business, what marketing campaigns you're going to run, how you're going to extend lifetime value of your customer, which is going to lead to more sales. That's what you need to be concerned with, right? So you want to take your energy and worry about higher level stuff instead of lower level stuff. And many times in business, you think this lower level stuff is what the big deal is. Me sitting down with the website guy and me having to tell him, nah, I don't want 12-point font. I want 16-point font. They should know that on their own. They do websites for a living. You shouldn't have to sit there and do that with them, right? Or you dealing with somebody else doing an administrative skill for you, and you got to keep telling them the same thing over and over again. These are the kind of things that are going to take away from what you need to be doing, which is driving revenue, especially early on in your business, right? Early on in your business, you got to get revenue coming through that door because you want to figure out really early whether or not that offer is legit or it's not legit. You won't know unless you go full bore with your offer. So something that Erica Williams talks about, and she's 100% correct, is the first take 3 years and just sell the hell out of that business. Just go really hard for 3 years because you'll find out whether or not it's legit or whether it's not legit. And in everything you learn during those 3 years, you can always apply to your next situation because business is about growth and development. It's never about just a one-time deal. And that's what we're trying to really work to make sure people aren't one-time deals in their business. So you can't get distracted, right? And that's what a lot of people are. They're distracted by things that are never going to drive revenue because I'm trying to avoid the rejection. So I think all this other stuff is me doing business. Got nothing to do with you doing business. You need to figure out what is going to get money to come through the door of this particular company. And you got to be so passionate about that anybody that got a problem with it is not your customer anyway, right? They're just not. So you can't worry about how they feel about it, okay? And you got to really get your mind into that particular lane, right? So everything else is a distraction and it's a psychological escape effort. We talked about this before. When you start off in business, early on, anything that's not driving money through that door is a distraction and it's trying to get you to psychologically escape from that, right? Chastity, know better, do better consultant. If you look at her on social, she's constantly marketing. She's constantly marketing. She's constantly marketing. She's constantly marketing. She's creating new offers. She's marketing those new offers constantly. When you start off in a business, you got to market even when you don't feel like it. If you look at Erica, she's constantly marketing. When you are in business, you got to market even when you don't feel like it. The day you don't feel like marketing is the day you need to market, right? The day you don't feel like it is the day you definitely need to do it. Why? Because you don't feel like doing it. Because you got to develop that discipline. It's like a muscle, right? You got to develop a discipline. And then once you develop the discipline, it'll be easy for you to do it on a regular basis because you developed yourself. What hurts a lot of people is that they start off in the business going real hard, and if they don't get real quick traction, they lose steam, right? But when you enter into a market and you're new in the market, it's going to take time for you to develop credibility because people don't believe in you. They don't trust you yet. So the consistency is what you need to get the credibility in the space. But instead, because you don't get the quick turnaround and the quick result, you quit and you try to do something else. The problem is you never had credibility in the first thing. So unlike the woman that's made a living for 2 decades being a saleswoman, she has long times in different deals. So she got credibility in one deal. Then she went to another deal, got credibility in that deal, went to another deal, got credibility in that deal. So yeah, she's changed deals over the past 2 decades, but she stays in deals an extended period of time and builds credibility in those deals. And because she's been doing what she's been doing for so long, she has credibility in the space. So when she pops up with a new deal, she drives an audience to that new deal. So quiet as kept, people don't know those type of people behind the scenes. They get paid by the company founders just to be in the deal. They don't get paid off their downline. People don't know that. They're not supposed to tell people that, but I know because I know that business model. They get paid just to promote the deal, right? Then because of who they are, they bring people into the deal, but they get paid just to sign on to the deal, right? So you got to lock in on what you're doing, even when you don't feel like doing it. And then once you get some traction, then you can start going to automation, marketing, things of that nature. But initially, you got to get the word out about what you're doing. I don't care if you got to do it locally. You may have to do it locally, but you got to get the word out, because if nobody knows about it, how can they know to utilize your services? So I market on my YouTube all the time. If you don't like it, you can leave the YouTube. I don't care. Because why are you here anyway? You know what I'm saying? So, but that used to bother me. Oh man, they're going to get mad at me for marketing all the time. I had to learn I can't let that bother me. Because my question is, why are you here anyway? Right? You're not mad at Elon Musk marketing Tesla all the time because he knows what makes it work. So if you're not mad at Elon Musk marketing Tesla all the time and you weren't mad at Steve Jobs marketing Apple all the time, why are you mad at me for marketing what I do all the time? So it's all right for them, but it's wrong for me. So I don't care if you say, well, man, David markets his business too much on YouTube. You don't have to be here. You can go do something else. See what I'm saying? So you have to be so passionate about what you're doing that you don't care if people have an issue with it, because it only means that they're not a good candidate for your business anyway. And you're here to do business. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is America. So we have a lot of like complexes around our situation. And then we get into these environments. And as long as you got that complex, you're never going to be successful. Right? Beyonce going out on tour, she's going to be charging top dollar for what she does. She does not care if you got an issue with it. She don't care. She thinks that's her value. She's out here to go get her value. If you don't like it, you ain't got to pay for it. You can let the tour pass on through your city. But she's not going to lowball herself to make some people happy that weren't going to do business with her in the first place. Right? So that's what people have to understand, is that don't allow yourself to get distracted, and don't look to psychologically escape from the effort that you need to be involved in, because business is a process. And sometimes you got to fail at business to learn what to do the next time. And that's often what a lot of people are trying to avoid. So as soon as they get a little bit of failure, they quit and go jump on something else. And they don't realize is what? They're going to get to the same place in the game every time. They never going to get past that level because they never learn how to get past that level. They keep getting beat by the same level, right? Let's get into the next one. So until you learn how to create compelling offers and sell them at a profit that makes sense to your business, you're never going to experience long-term success in business. Again, business is all about offers. It's not about products or services, right? If business was about products or services, you would not go into a grocery store and there'd be a million SKUs and you couldn't go online and say dentist in your area and there'd be 30, 40 people dentists in your area. If it was all about just being a dentist, you wouldn't have multiple dentists in your area. You wouldn't have multiple orthodontists. You wouldn't have multiple doctors. It's not about the service or the product. It's about the offer, right? And what you really want to focus on is creating compelling offers. That's what a lot of people are losing to in this online space. They're mad at people because they got a better offer to them. And I'm never mad that somebody got a better offer than me. I get it. It's a better offer based on that market. They're not my market, right? So is it frustrating sometimes that I'm not bigger? Yes, but I understand the level of the market. I told you before, there's a marketer out of Macon, Georgia. He convinced people that he was a surfer. I don't know how. You're from Macon. He writes his copy on a 6th grade level. The guy's a millionaire. That explains to you what the market is, right? He convinced people he was a surfer. You're from Macon. Where's the water at? He writes copy on a 6th grade level. The guy's a millionaire, right? So he really understood the market. That's how he became a millionaire. So he learned how to create compelling offers to that market, made himself a millionaire. So that's just how it works. Like, I would really, if I wanted to go into business, I would really study how to create really good offers. I wouldn't worry about business, because you can have a skill that you may think I want to go into business with, but I would really work on how to create a compelling offer based around what I do, and then sell that at a profit that makes sense for your business. And that's how you get long-term success. That's just my personal opinion, but I come out of direct response marketing, so I look at things different. So let's go to the next one. Okay, so that's the same point, just repeated multiple times. So I want to just reiterate: learn how to create compelling offers, sell them at a profit that makes sense to your business, or you're never going to experience long-term success in your business. You have a quick run because it's a trend, and that'll be over with, right? Then you might catch another trend, that'll be over with. So you remember everybody was selling, like you get like a little e-com product and it'll sell real quick, but because you don't have a really compelling offer around that e-com product, it won't sell long-term. Another guy in the fitness space has a really good, compelling fitness offer, and he's able to sell supplements to his audience for decades. Same supplements somebody else got, but the supplements are not attached to his offer. So his offer may be longevity and vitality. His offer may be youthfulness. Then he sells supplements to his audience based on those particular offers, right? Same supplements you can get from everybody else, but they're not combined with his offer. That's what I want people to really understand. So that's going to be it. We're going to keep you here long because it's been a very long day. So we're going to get up on out of here, but I'm going to read these comments, man. We're going to bounce. So how is that new disc going to help you bring your sales? Definitely. It's not going to help you, right? It's just a new desk. Nothing wrong with getting a new desk, but it's just going to new desk. Okay. So Katrina says, do I offer and development trading? Not anymore, Katrina. I used to. Lance took one of my courses. I used to call it the perfect offer. I don't offer it anymore. I used to, but I got out of. I don't really do a lot of. I don't really do marketing consulting anymore because I didn't think it wasn't a really good offer, right? What I had to say to people to get them to buy into it, in my opinion, I didn't want to tell them that, right? I didn't want to tell them that. So it wasn't a good offer. It didn't pull the way I needed to pull for it to support me. So I just got rid of it. So Erica says, I've been turned down due to non-professional photos. They want those photos. Yeah, I agree with you. They do want those glamour shots. People do buy into it. But I don't know, maybe because I came out of like media buying, nobody really was taking pictures like that. It was real laid back, and then I really started to see like other sides of social media, and everybody was like super dressed up, and it was the luxury cars and yada, yada, yada. And me coming out of media buying, I mean, I knew guys was running, like Tommy does a YouTube advertising. I think his name is Powell. Guy was doing like 70 million a year on YouTube, and he just, comes out there in a polo shirt and some jeans. So I just think it was a space I came out of. So I agree. I was looking at a woman's YouTube yesterday. She's a quote unquote luxury real estate person. So she got all the designer stuff, yada, yada, yada. Like that's her market. But for a lot of people, that's really not their market. And they think they have to do it. And I think it's more about them than what their market really wants out of them. But I agree with you. Sometimes people do want those photos. I think people should have headshots, but I'm not into the glamour shots unless that's what your market wants. Yeah, that's him. I ain't want to say his name, but yeah, that's him. But he's a hell of a marketer because, like I said, he's from Macon, Georgia. He convinced people he was a surfer. But see, that worked because most people have never met a surfer because surfers really only are in Florida and California and Hawaii. So the majority of countries never really met a real surfer. I went to high school with guys that surfed. So I instantly was able to tell this guy's not a surfer. When white people spend a lot of time in the sun, it changes their skin because they don't have the melanin. So it really does a lot of damage to their skin. And you see that with surfers. Does it also to their hair. The salt plus the sun does a job on their hair too. He didn't have any of those physical characteristics. So I knew he wasn't a surfer. Like, I went to high school with a bunch of surfers, right? I know how surfers look, especially white surfers. They look a certain way. So I could just immediately realize this guy's not a surfer. But the majority of the country has never seen surfers. So he sold them on the fact that he was a surfer. I can immediately tell this guy don't surf. There's no way in the world this guy's a surfer. But it is what it is. He convinced them, and he made himself a lot of money. Ramel, man, I appreciate the $10, man. Yeah, when it's mixed to white audience, I can wear cowboy hats and boots, relax. And I get that. It's because, like, that's just the thing. I was saying that, I know you talked about before that you wear the cowboy hats and the boots, and you get like a certain setting. You could have a real big certain type of channel. And I agree with you. I think you could blow up doing that type of stuff because you have the personality for it. So I think one of our issues is that we sometimes, when you're dealing with a black audience, they try to connect success to like being high profile, super flashy. And I think that's unfortunate because I think a lot of times that's how they get taken advantage of. Because that's what, in their mind, if you have those things, that means you're successful. And a lot of people that got a lot of really real success in this world, they're not flashy at all. They just real laid back. Right? But I agree with you. But you should be able to wear the cowboy hats and the boots to anybody because of the validity of what you're saying. But a lot of times people, it's all about that presentation. And it's just weird, but it is what it is. That's why I said that lady that's a professional salesperson, she knows her audience. She has all the jewelry on. She got the BBL. They got the lace fronts. And that's what her audience wants to see. Because in their mind, that's what you look like when you get money. So it works. I'm not mad at her. She getting money. Selling the baby boomers and young folks, I notice more flashy. Yeah, I agree. Young people like, just being young. They like it to be hella turned up. But I think there's a market for being laid back too. But it's all in how you do it, in my opinion. So I will eventually get like some, I don't know, I wouldn't say glamour shots, but more professional type stuff. But see, I don't like suits because they hot. So I don't want to be in a suit all the time. So I don't want people to think I'm going to show up in a suit because suits are hot. It's just, that's what's the way. I don't like suits. They're too hot. Yeah, he looked like Point Break Johnny. Yeah, I don't know who he looked like. He didn't look like a surfer. Like I said, I grew up with surfers. I know how they look. I knew dudes. I was in middle school. I knew guys that surfed. Because Orlando is maybe an hour, maybe hour, 15 minutes from the beach. So it's nothing for you to jump in the car and go surf. So where the city that I'm from, a lot of young guys where their older brothers surfed. And then as we got older, they started surfing. Right. So I just knew how they looked and, how they acted, how they carried themselves. And he didn't have any of those mannerisms. Surfers act a certain way because they're always surfing at the beach. And he didn't have any of those mannerisms. He sounded like a Georgian. He definitely didn't sound like a guy that surfed. I don't know because where would he ever learn how to surf? That was a question. You're from Macon. Where'd you learn how to surf at? But it worked. So I'm not mad at him. Guy made himself a lot of money now. Then he changed his brand. He went more, kind of a little bit more corporate as he got older, which worked too. So I'm not mad at him. He took advantage of the ignorance of the audience and what in their mind they thought a surfer was, not what a surfer actually looked like. And that's just really good marketing. He took the idea that was already inside their head and he ran with it, which is really good marketing. So like a company pushing a certain investment that looked like a rap video. Yeah, but they think that's what their market wants. They think that's what their market wants. Or the guy trying to sell you real estate that thinks the only way I can get your attention is to show up in a Rolls Royce. That's what they do. You think, I got to show up in a Rolls Royce to get people's attention to want to go into this real estate deal. So that's the problem is that's what gets people's attention. The guys that sold a lot of people in the Forex, and I'm going to talk about that later, that was renting cars off Turo. and taking pictures in front of the cars that they rented off Turo to get people to think they were successful Forex traders. It worked because people bought in. I don't know if people would have bought in if they just would have posted in front of like regular cars, because people have this idea in their brain of what success looks like. And a lot of times, if you don't embody that, they won't pay you any attention. And it's very unfortunate because they're missing out on the people that are really successful that can really help them, right? But that's what's in their head of what success looks like. So once people figure out that's their idea, they give them that idea right back to them. And then they lock in because that's what already they had inside their head from the gate. Yeah, she had a serious BBL early before it blew up, but she's from Miami, so she already ahead of the curve. Yeah, but she had a serious BBL, like serious, So that's what her audience wants to see. They think that's what success looks like. So she's made herself a lot of money in that space by embodying what her audience thinks a successful woman, the quote unquote boss chick looks like. But if you look at somebody like I forgot the sister's name that does trade and travel, it's a totally different aesthetic because she has a totally different audience and she's extremely successful, but it's just a different aesthetic, totally different aesthetic. So it's just different audiences, and I don't know if one would work in the other person's audience because of what they're looking for and what they think success looks like. So again, it's all about that offer and that market and whether or not they're going to be receptive to it. And if not, you got to either change up how you do it or do something different. Yeah, golf shorts will work, golfs and maybe khakis. So we may go in that lane. So we'll see how it works out. Right? I got to come up with something. But yeah, I don't like suits, they too hot. So I would want people to think I'm gonna always show up in a suit because all you're gonna do is sweat. So appreciate everybody for coming through. Like I said, this is gonna be up for 24 hours. It'll go into the Patreon. I appreciate for everybody for coming through, but I really want to encourage people to where if you start a business, right, early on, sales, driving money through that business is going to be your most important thing. You want to really figure out whether or not your offer is valid. You want to validate that offer, and then you want to build on from there. You don't want to get dragged on with other stuff, and you definitely don't want to get caught up with people that are never going to do business with you anyway, and then you're trying to figure out how to make them happy, and after you make them happy, they're not going to spend any money with you. So you wasted your time. And many times, until you really learn how to get your confidence as a business person, you will waste time with those type of people and not value the people that really want to do business with you. And they're sitting there waiting for you to show up to do business with them, and you're wasting your time trying to make somebody happy that's never going to do business with you in the first place, right? So I want to really encourage you to make sure that you make the main thing, and put your best foot forward and put yourself in the best position to be successful. Y'all take care, man. I'll talk to y'all later.